Forgotten Coast Outdoors with your host, John Spohrer. John Spohrer has been an outdoor writer and photographer living on the Forgotten Coast for over 25 years and is the author of Florida's Forgotten Coast, a compelling look at the land, plants, and animals that make the Forgotten Coast a natural experience.
Hello, I'm John Spohrer, and welcome to the Forgotten Coast Outdoors on Forgotten Coast TV. Today we're taking you up the Apalachicola River. Now, this is a trip that we've taken before, but today we have a unique way for you to see the Apalachicola River. And normally we go up the river in a boat. Today we're going up the river on top of a boat. And this special boat's name is Lily. And this is Captain Gill, the captain of Lily. Captain, thanks for having us today.
Thank you, John. It's great to have you and the Forgotten Coast TV on Lily.
Terrific. You know, Captain, every time I go on this boat, I say, this has just got to be one of the best experiences that I've ever had. And as far as I know, this is the only boat around that you can go up the river on top of.
That's correct. That's the only boat we have that's covered. If you get a little shower of rain, it's fine. Or if the weather's a little cool, you can get inside, but really the best spot is up here on top. You can see the most of the estuary.
Now, Captain, we're here in July, and it seems like being cool is going to be one of the least of our problems up here. It was
That's right.
80 degrees this morning at 8 o'clock, but this is also a great place for younger kids and older family members to be able to be shaded within the boat, too.
Oh, yeah, it's very safe. I've had a 4-month-old baby and a 93-year young grandmother.
And I think that we've got restrooms inside also?
Yeah, I have a little porta potty, but I also have some stops with nice facilities for ladies, so I take care of the ladies on the boat.
Terrific. Now, Captain, you've been pretty busy, this being the summer and part of your peak season. What have you been seeing on what we're going to look at today?
Well, the most exciting thing I've seen lately is I saw a whole pod of manatees up in the 4-tree cutoff. There were probably 20 or 25, so it's real narrow in there, so I just had to cut the boat, and it was just a parade of them. It was beautiful. But I'm seeing bald eagles, lots of ospreys, the little babies are just about to leave the nest, swallowtail kites, alligators. I even saw a litter of little pigs on a sandbar one day.
And now those are wild pigs?
Wild pigs, wild hogs, piney wood rooters is what I call them.
Now, Captain, the summertime is also a great time to see blooms and flowers on the river.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah, there's lots of things blooming up there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Where I go is, you know, there's like thousands of acres of swamps and wetlands, and the only way to get there is by boat. When I get up in there, there's a road probably 15 miles to the east and 35 miles to the west. So you're way back in there.
And all of this we refer to as the river floodplain. This is where when the river floods, it spreads out. And all this is just absolutely essential to the ecology of the river.
That's why the Apalachicola Bay is the most pristine estuary in the northern hemisphere, because of the places that I go.
And the protection that the state has afforded them.
That's right. It's all protected.
You know, one thing as we go along that we'd like for everyone to remember and understand is that the reason that we can see these protected lands is because people before us and the politicians before us have seen fit to protect this absolutely vital estuary. So as we go along and you see things that probably were the same as whenever the first settlers got here, remember we see those things because the government has preserved them for us with public money. These are public lands. Come and enjoy them. And Captain, I tell you what, you got me excited. Let's go see what we can find.
Let me say, John, you know, when you say that, I have a lot of fun on this trip, and I want everybody to have a good time. But most importantly, I feel like I've got a mission to show this to people, to impress upon them what we have and the importance of preserving it. But let me bring up one other thing we forgot when we were talking about the boat. Don't forget about the pets.
That's
I have lots of dogs on the boat. Matter of fact, I have 9 granddogs.
And also, Captain, the other thing that we didn't talk about is you have places where people can get out and swim if they want to.
They can go swimming. They can bring a picnic. You know, I got a nice place to swim. So we just want to go have a good time and enjoy this beautiful thing that God's given us.
Well, Captain, I tell you what, I'm not going to be getting wet on purpose, but we'll look at all of that, and like I say, let's go see what we can find.
Let's go.
Captain, I see as we're heading out here right now, we're heading out from your port, and we're on Scipio Creek right now, is that right?
Yeah, you know, Scipio was the Roman general that defeated Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202.
Now, Captain, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Somebody on the boat was a historian and told me. But what he did is he figured out how to deal with Hannibal's elephants.
And
so he saved the Roman Empire, so he was pretty famous.
And so, do we have many elephants on Scipio Creek, or just?
No, I don't know who named it Scipio Creek, but you know we got a lot of Italian descent here. Now, you know, Rome's in Italy, I think. In Rome in Italy.
I think most of it is, but I think that we do indeed have descendants or relations to elephants here, and those are the manatees. And
that's right.
That they are closely related to elephants.
Yep, and we're looking for them right now.
We're looking for them, Captain. I see we're coming up on an interesting looking sailboat here.
This boat is. Belongs to Randy Mims. He's a friend of mine. He built this boat. It took him about 10 years to get it built. It's been written up in Wooden Boat magazine, and he lives on it, and he's actually come back from a 4,000-mile sailing trip up to New England. And the name of it is interesting to me. The name is Ideth, or you can pronounce it Ideath, and that's actually a Irish religious term that basically means you can't truly know God till the I in you is dead, your ego.
Now, Captain, it might be kind of hard for the camera to pick up, but right over here to our right, we have a swallowtail kite that seems to be going around in circles with an osprey. They seem to be playing some kind of a game there.
Yeah, they're doing close air support or something.
Looks like they're riding the thermals.
That's right. My favorite bird is a swallowtail kite. I mean, it just soars and soars, and when I get up in the little river, sometimes they'll just get in front of the boat and put on an air show for us.
Well, this one here is a little bit far away, but we're getting up on it. It looks like they're coming closer to us. That's quite a sight there. Now, let me give you a few pointers for those of you who are using point-and-shoot cameras. And the Lily here is just a great place to use your point-and-shoot, because if you put the sun to your back, you just have wonderful vistas out here. So what I'm doing here with my little point-and-shoot is I've got the sun to my back, and I'll turn my camera on too. That's always a good thing to remember. And what I'm doing here, this little point and shoot has a swivel, has a little swivel on it, so I can see what I'm shooting, and I'm adding even more height by reaching up like this. And as long as I keep the sun to my back, it's just taking beautiful pictures of the estuary and the marsh and also the clouds. The clouds now. Now, if I were to turn around and shoot this way, and I'm going to do it just for an example, you'll see that the sky and all just makes a very poor picture over here. So if I shoot into the sun with my point and shoot, and I don't have any kind of adjustments that I can do with the picture, it's not going to be very good. But as long as I'm shooting this way with the sun to my back, I'm just getting some really nice vistas over here. So for all of you that don't have the 35mm and changeable lenses, this is a great boat to bring your point and shoot on, and you can just get some wonderful pictures out here. Captain, looks like we're coming up right now on the city of Apalachicola and its working waterfront, and there's just a lot of history here for people to see.
Oh yeah, this is wonderful to see. You see, when we left, we were at the north end of Scipio Creek, so actually about half of the waterfront of Apalachicola is Scipio Creek. So right up here on the right is what they call the mill pond, and that's where all the commercial boats, the shrimp boats, moor. And then just past that is Water Street Seafood. Those would be grouper and snapper boats. So it's one of the few active working seaports left in Florida, and of course we've got the whole waterfront is zoned for seafood.
Now, Captain, you called the commercial marina here the mill pond, and my understanding is they call it that because back in the 20s, this is where the lumber, the cypress trees were brought to before they went to the sawmill.
That's right. They floated them down the river, and you know, a lot of them sank, and you know, people still that's a real treasure if you can find a cypress log that's sunk. It's probably been in the river 100 years. So
now, Captain, as we're talking here, as we're pulling up to the mill pond, we see a shrimp boat here that is to our left, that is under renovation.
Yeah, now that's a definition of an optimist. If you're building a shrimp boat in these days, I'm all for you. You're my hero. But actually, they had the hull, so they're building the wheelhouse and all that on top of it, and it's been fun to watch them. I actually live right across the street from the mill pond, and I get shrimp off the boat. You know, this spring they had the white shrimp run that they have every spring, and this spring is the best year they've ever had, and it's lasted the longest. It usually is over about July the 4th, but I've been buying 12-count shrimp. That's 12 shrimp to the pound off of the shrimp boats that were caught last night in the bay. As I say, they slept in the bay for $6 and $6.50 a pound.
Now, Captain, as we get past the mill pond, we're coming up to some different looking boats, and these are the fishing boats, right?
Yeah, these are grouper and snapper boats. These go offshore, maybe out like 100 miles, and they fish on the bottom. And if you can see there, they have electric reels. They have winches because, you know, they're not sport fishing. They don't want to play with the fish. They want to get him in the boat and get another one. And they go right here to Water Street Seafood, which is a substantial seafood dealer here in our town. And they're shipped out basically all over the world from here.
Now, Captain, one of the places that you can get some of this shrimp that you've been talking about is at some of the seafood restaurants that are right here on the river.
Yeah, this is Papa Joe's right here at Scipio Creek Marina, and not just the shrimp, but they have some of the best oysters down here because they come from 13 Mile, which is 13 miles west of Apalachicola, out in Indian Pass. And I think some of the best oysters that come out of the bay come from Indian Pass. So the oysters here are real good, and James or Dwayne will shuck them up for you. Right there, you sit right there at the bar and eat them.
I know I had Dwayne shucking me up a couple of dozen this past weekend.
Yeah, now this is up the creek raw bar. That's a real good place to eat. And I pick people up here a lot of times because, you know, I'll take them out on a 2-hour tour. I'll pick them up here at 10 and bring them back at noon, and then they can eat lunch or whatever.
Up the creek raw bar here is just absolutely one of my favorite places to eat. And now we're getting into what we call houseboat row.
Yeah, they build these things on styrofoam because, you know, if you build them on pontoons or barrels, they'll eventually leak. But people actually live on these, and the property taxes are most favorable. Now you see this brick building right here, and the taller metal building to the right. That was old power plant for Apalachicola, and Port St. Joe. It had a huge diesel generator in it, that huge diesel engine that ran the generator, and it belongs to a friend of mine now that really into power plants, and he's been to Egypt to the Great Pyramid and taken measurements, and he's got a replica of it in there, and he gets in it and meditates. He can feel the energy from the power plant going through the pyramid.
Well, I'm sorry we don't have a chance to show that today.
He'd be glad to show it to you.
Now, Captain, now we're coming up on the big shrimp boats, and these are the bad boys that go out way deep, way far.
Yeah, these go way offshore. Now, this smaller boat that's coming out is a bay boat. Now, these big boats can't shrimp in the bay because of all their heavy equipment, but the bay boats can. The bay boats can shrimp offshore, but they don't have the equipment to go out very far. These boats can shrimp in 100 feet or more of water. So if you look at Miss Martha here, if you look on the starboard side at those wooden things, those are called doors, and they have skids on the bottom, and there's a net on each side. So there's 2 doors for each net, and they lower those booms, and the nets are tied off like a kite, so they skid along the bottom and fly open and collect the shrimp. And then if you can see up there where those multicolored floats are, there's a metal ring in there called a TED. That's a turtle extrusion device. And what that does, if you catch a sea turtle, it's got a spring trap door in it, and it pops them out. So it saves the sea turtles. Now this is the dock that has handicap access, and this is where I'm going to pick the young gentleman up this afternoon. And his mama says he likes to go fast, and could we go fast? And I said, well, my boat doesn't go real fast, but we'll go as fast as it'll go for a little while anyway.
Well, that's a wonderful thing there, and that the city has done that, and that's just one of the ways that the city tries to make everything accessible to everybody.
Now this marker right here has a red light on top of it, it goes all the time. Of course, it stays on all the time. It flashes. Of course, it flashes all night long. And some people ask me, doesn't the light bother the ospreys? Well, I say, you know, I guess not. Maybe it's the red light district or something. I'm starting to hear them now. They're in there. You know, the ospreys mate for life, and they can identify each other by their whistle. And they come back to the same spot every year and build a nest. Now, the male helps the female build a nest, and then the female stays on the nest with the eggs and the little chicks, and the male goes out and catches fish. So I had a gentleman on the boat the other day. He says, well, I know why they're able to mate for life and humans aren't. And I said, why is that? He says, because every morning she tells him, why don't you go fishing today? I don't like to get too close to them. I don't want to bother them. So if I go slow and stay off over here, maybe they won't fly. But actually, I think they're kind of getting used to this boat. They see me so much, they know I'm not any threat to them. Oh, there he goes. Looks like he had something.
He had a fish in his mouth and his talons. Now, Captain, these are the young ospreys that we see that are still using the nest to eat in, but that's this year's crop of osprey.
Yeah, this is this year's spring. These are immature ospreys, and they're getting pretty big now. I guess they're getting ready to later on. They'll be migrating out of here, but they're getting bigger every day.
Closer to him, we see them over here. Well, never mind.
There's one in the tree up there.
I see. Captain, this is just so beautiful here. What all are we looking at?
Well, John, you know, we're in Sauls Creek right now, and we're 6 miles north of Apalachicola, and this cove right here in front of us is where the shrimp boats come and tie up during a hurricane. And they come here because it's protected, and also over on that far side it's deep enough that they can tie up right next to the bank. And they actually raft up to one another so they can go back and forth from one boat to the other, and they stay up here and ride out the hurricane. Now, I'll run a little taxi service for them because, you know, somebody's always forgotten something. They need their medicine or whatever, so they call me and I'll load up the boat. They need fuel, and actually sometimes they need ice and other beverages. So I have a good time coming up here, and it's quite a sight to see. They'll come up here 2 or 3 days before the hurricane. Of course, I have to quit when it gets close because I got to get this boat out myself. But this is the cove in Sauls Creek where the shrimp boats escape from the hurricanes.
Well, it certainly looks calm and beautiful now.
Yeah.
Captain, tell us what kind of trees these are that we see overhanging the water here.
Well, now, John, these are Tupelo trees. That's an Indian word that means swamp tree. And that's where we get the famous Tupelo honey here in Apalachicola. The Apalachicola River is the only place that you can get Tupelo honey in the world other than the Nile. And it doesn't crystallize. They found it in the tombs of the pharaohs and hadn't crystallized. And also, you know, diabetics can eat it. So in the spring of the year, in April and May, when the Tupelo trees bloom, the beekeepers and local beekeepers bring their beehives up here and put them off in the swamp, and they're able to get the Tupelo honey. Now, the reason you can get Tupelo honey here, and because Tupelo trees are actually all over the South, but this was a tremendous cypress forest around the turn of the century, and they logged it basically, and so the Tupelo trees grew faster, and they grew up and just kind of took over. So one of the rare treats that come in Apalachicola is getting some Tupelo honey to take home with you. Now, they made a movie called Ulysses Gold with Peter Fonda, and he was a beekeeper, and that's made locally, so if you get that that film and look at it, you can actually see how they go about making the honey from the Tupelo trees.
And Captain, I don't think I knew that these trees are also found in Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah, they found them in the tombs of the Pharaoh. And actually, you know, get on another subject, mead is the oldest alcoholic drink known to man, and of course mead is made from honey. And your captain here actually makes mead from Tupelo honey. And they say it's good if you age it, but my friends hadn't let any of it age yet.
Now, Captain, you're not telling me that you drink beer?
No, I drink mead. I wouldn't drink beer, no.
These nice purple flowers over here, I think those are swamp marshmallows.
Yeah, they're really pretty. I'm gonna back you up here and see if we can get a shot of them.
And this is the kind of thing that you can see so well from up top that you wouldn't even hardly notice in a normal boat. Okay.
Yeah, well, John, you know we're in a little creek called the Four Tree Cutoff. It connects the Apalachicola River to the Little St. Mark's River. Now, there are actually four rivers that empty into the bay. There's the Apalachicola River, the Little St. Mark's, the St. Mark's, and the East River. And the smaller rivers are all interconnected, so you could go back up here and wind around just forever.
And Captain, that section's known by locals as the head of the bay?
Yeah, the head of the bay. All of the four rivers empty into the bay. And the smaller rivers feed off the Apalachicola River. Now, these small cypress trees that we're seeing here are really rare. They're called dwarf cypress. And some of them are as much as 300 years old, and this is as big as they get. The only place I know you can see them is here, and they also have a swamp of them up State Road 65. It's a nice place to visit. But these are really unique. And this is the place, we probably won't see them today, but this is the place where I saw the pod of manatees. There were probably 20 to 25, and of course it's so narrow in here, there wasn't room for all of us, so I just had to cut the motor so I wouldn't hit them and get up here in the grasses and let them go by.
And Captain, this grass, this eel grass we're seeing here, that's what the manatees are eating?
Yeah, they're vegetarians.
And so they're eating like 150 pounds of that grass a day?
Which is good because it keeps this cleaned out.
Doing a good job of it.
Yeah, they're pretty good size.
Besides the grass, during the winter, the warmer waters up in here help them survive.
Now here on the port side of the boat is a wood duck box, and they're my favorite ducks. You notice there's not a perch on that box. They fly into that box going wide open and then just collapse or fold up or do something.
Thank you for coming along with us today on the good ship Miss Lily with Captain Gill as we went up the Apalachicola River to see some extremely beautiful scenery in a way that you may not have seen it before. If you want to see this scenery the same way, contact Captain Gill and he'll give you the tour. Thank you for watching Forgotten Coast Outdoors, and thank you for watching Forgotten Coast TV.